I think we got this thing finally going. It is crazy how complicated that this has become. Well, like I say, we figured it out. And Facebook is constantly trying to tell us, do this, do that, start this, add tips, add free donuts and coffee, blah, blah.
That would be nice.
Well, that would be kind of neat. But, so, Search for Spirits live tonight. Do I need to turn this just a little bit? And maybe up. Not quite that much. There we go.
Hey, just
And,
cut your forehead off.
Cut my forehead off. I'm now. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. All right, so we are kicking off this Facebook Live.
Looks like Melissa says hi. Hi, Melissa.
Oh, excellent. Hi, Melissa. Glad to see you and welcome. We are going to talk about the part of our team that handles cryptids tonight, and that is called Search for Sasquatch.
Hi, Rita.
Hello, Rita. And so we are excited to talk about the Search for Sasquatch. It's something that we've had been involved with almost as long as we've been teamed up, I think.
I think so,
Several years now. We had been getting calls from Chippewa National Forest. I have to admit that I think every call we had, for the most part, on Bigfoot was from the Chippewa National Forest. Although I did have a comment that one was seen out by Glencoe, Minnesota. You said you had heard reports on some other ones as well. Rice, yep.
So they're kind of all over.
Yeah, all over the place, and we probably hear about just a very small percentage of the sightings of Bigfoot in the state of Minnesota. But we welcome anybody to contact us if they see Bigfoot or any other type of cryptid.
Right. Yeah, I mean we've seen, what was that weird, I don't know if it was a cat like human creature that went across the road that one night.
Yeah, we were by a swamp that time, right?
Yep.
And we're driving along. We had just finished an investigation.
Yep.
And this creature runs across the road in front of us.
Very fast.
And it was just, it was something that I couldn't explain.
I wish we had a dash cam.
Yeah, dash cam would have been nice. But it was kind of a muddy looking thing, and maybe that's why it looked like such a strange creature, because it was in the swamps. Maybe it was covered with mud. But anyway, Bigfoot, northern Minnesota for the most part. Chippewa National Forest, we've been having team events up there 3 or 4
Probably
years.
more than that, actually.
4 years.
I think this last go around was the 5th or 6th time.
Oh goodness. Okay. So that's been kind of a mainstay. We have some spots where we've had reports from people about sightings and about trouble they've had. I think one of the first ones we had was a guy had a picture of something looking in his living room window. He got home from work. He sits down on the couch, and his wife is messing with him a little bit. He looks shaggy from a hard day of work, and she decides to take a picture of him. And when she looks at the picture afterwards, right after, she realizes that something is looking in the picture window right behind her husband's head. And this is only about, I would say, a half a mile from another sighting we had from some loggers up there that said when they were logging, they saw several Sasquatch standing off to the edge in the thickets of the swamp watching them.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of sightings.
Yeah.
We did some interviews up there, and there were other experiences. A lady saw one, she was on horseback, and it was looking at her across the lake. And then when she rode over there, it was gone. But it left a smell. Like a real heavy animal smell. And looks like, hi Mitchell.
Hello, Mitch. Yeah, so the scent, the smell is something that is, What was the other one we seen? Oh, tell the one about the lady on the highway driving down. Oh, I think it was number 38 up
I
north.
think it was, yeah. She was driving along, and she actually had to stop the car. The Bigfoot ran across the road right in front of her car and walked right along the side, so she got a really good view. She didn't drive that highway for...
It was like 20 years or
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
wasn't it?
she, yeah, never.
Never. She
Well,
said,
went back finally, but
I'm not going back.
there's a lot of good stories coming out of there.
It is.
And Melissa asked a question. She said, where do you think Bigfoot is? Do they have their own realms? So, I mean, obviously they exist here, but it's...
Every state in the United States has sightings.
But, yeah, but people think they're interdimensional beings, so they can just step out. I mean, and that's maybe why we don't see bodies.
Right.
That's why they can get away so easily. You know, so it's potential they step in and out.
And I think we kind of agree with that.
From what we've seen so far, I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything to disprove that yet.
I think the best proof that we have of something like that.
Melissa says, I'm not taking 38 ever again. Why not? You can get pictures.
38 is great! But tell them about the time we were, and that wasn't even in the Chippewa Forest, that was another area, but we had walked that trail just to kind of exercise some of our equipment.
Oh, that was... Are you talking the one where...
Yes,
With
the
tree knocking?
invisible...
So, I mean, we did go out for Bigfoot. I mean, that was kind
Yeah.
of part of it. And you're right. Yeah, it was just you and me. We were walking along. We decided to go Facebook Live, and there's a little thing in there that I think is... it's my favorite part. But as we're walking along, I mean, we're pretty deep in, I'd say.
Right.
You know, we had to stop the truck and get out because there's the trees are down. And then we were walking, and we're hearing this knocking coming from a tree ahead of us and to the left on the trail. And as we approached it, something's knocking way up high. I don't even remember. I was gonna try to replicate it, but
Right.
as I approached the tree, I wanted to see which tree it was. There were two large trees together, and I took out my knife to knock on the first one, and I'm like, that's not it. So I stepped around to the next one, and I knocked on that, and immediately my hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I got the chills, and I could feel like a big being on the other side of the trees, and it took off away from us, and it sounded big. Like, it was running, and it sounded 500 pounds.
500 pounds easy.
And, yeah, it was just right on the other side of the tree for me. I was like, holy crap. And then it later, or as the time went on, it started to circle us.
Right. I think the thing that really, when it comes to, is this a dimensional type being? Now, potentially, because we did not see it, it could have been something else. But I'll tell you this part right now is whatever it was, potentially was better than 500
It
pounds.
was huge.
It's at dusk. There was still enough light to see. And it ran at a 45 in front of me. So it was probably less than 35 yards in front of me, going at a 45 across my front. And I hear its big heavy feet hitting the ground as it moves. And there's nothing there. Just nothing there.
And so Melissa says a bear. I don't know.
I don't...
It didn't feel like a bear.
Yeah. I mean, oops. That's not smart. Yeah, it definitely... I've hunted bear quite a few years. And bear are very, very quiet in the woods.
Yeah, and the unique thing about that is, so we decided we were going to leave the tree and walk down the trail. I marked the tree, but we walked down the trail for a ways, and the thing was out in the woods. It was like pacing us. It was like following us.
Yeah.
And then it circled around us, and as we walked away from the tree stopped knocking. And then as we walked back to the tree started knocking again.
Right.
So it was a weird, nothing else. There was no wind, nothing.
One tree in the woods.
Yep. But my favorite Facebook Live part of that was, as we were talking about this and that tree knocking, one of the people watching the Facebook Live was like, in all caps, she's like, "Get out of there, run!" I
Right.
was like, that was great. We didn't run, but
And Melissa's like, did we go look for tracks? Well, we definitely did. You marked the spot with a couple birch trees. We walked down the trail, came back, looked at it, and it, granted, like I say, it was dark. We did have some flashlights, looked around, but we didn't see any tracks. I remember looking for them.
We didn't make it back the next morning. I don't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
But, so we didn't see any tracks.
But this is a spot we definitely are thinking we'll go back to on another occasion.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. So that was pretty exciting, and the stories just go on from there. We probably have, we've had experiences at most of our events up north. We've had rock knocking.
Yep.
We've had wood knocks.
And whooping.
And a matter of fact, in a couple minutes, just in the last half of the show, we're going to play some whooping that we picked up nice and clear at our last year's investigation, and I don't think nobody's been able to identify what this is. And
yeah, we talked it through, and it wasn't any of the three teams that we had.
Right.
In fact, we tried a sampling of that earlier, and you couldn't hear us.
Right.
We couldn't hear you. And I don't know how far away you were, but...
Yeah. Well, the Northwoods is darn crazy when you're out there, and we've noticed that there are sound wave areas where a wave of sound will go in a certain direction, but then you might have somebody 100 yards from you over this way, and they won't hear you at all. It doesn't even make sense, some of the weird sound things we've run into out there. And does that have anything to do with Bigfoot? No. But it certainly has something to do with the fact that we had 4 teams out last year, and only one team picked up the audio of the Bigfoot that was calling out. Yeah. And the other teams didn't hear anything.
Right.
And so and we see that a lot. Really, it's very similar to ghosts.
It is.
You know, they will allow themselves to be seen by who they want to be seen by.
Or be heard on one set of audio, like a recorder, but not on the camera that sits next to it.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. Or, yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon.
And we have, I don't think we've been to a site where we've done an investigation for Bigfoot and not come across ghosts. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of them, I heard my name called. And we went back later during the day, probably 3 months later.
3 months later.
And it was calling my name through the woods.
Again,
yeah. Just
3 months later.
Loudly, like a female voice.
That was amazing.
No, it was great.
It was just so rare. And what are they doing out in the middle of the woods? Okay, maybe they lived out there years ago. Maybe there was some type of accident. But they're in the same locations that the Sasquatch, Bigfoot are in.
And I really think, the dynamics of the woods back 100, 200 years ago, there was a lot more people out there, the trappers and Native Americans, and look, Zebulon Pike came up and he spent wintered over, and it was a pretty high traffic area, so a lot of people are out and about.
It's just how are we looking out there? Can somebody respond to how does it sound? How does it look? We have a message on here about our FPS, our frame rate.
Learn more. Sorry, maybe that wasn't a good idea. Okay. No,
okay.
That wasn't a good idea.
That's a bad idea.
Maybe that's for later.
But, okay, I see. Well, there was a moment there when it really slowed down.
It says we're freezing a lot.
Oh, we are freezing a lot. Oh, well, that's unfortunate. Would you say we're freezing more than last week? Last week we used the phone. And I would say last week it was a lot more active.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And then to answer your question, there wasn't a smell around that tree.
Yeah, no smell.
So.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, it seems like we were better off using
Maybe so.
the phone because it seems to be.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe that's why the readership is down a little bit, because of the fact that we're trying it on the computer and we're having issues with the audio and the video. And I can see where the trouble was. It actually shows us. It looks like it's been pretty steady now.
It's pretty interesting that it shows us.
But
that's good.
Well, I tell you what, let's see if we can play the audio from that investigation. Now, it's going to be on our system here. So we're going to play the audio of the Bigfoot howl that we picked up in 2021. We'll play it 2 times. Let me know what you think. And the other little sounds, I had the audio device on me, so it's me looking around like this, like, what was that?
And I want to say too, that night, or that afternoon, evening, we heard plenty of wolves,
Owls.
and owls, and yeah, there was a lot of.
We had a lot of different animals that night.
Yeah.
And whether they were calling, wolves, coyotes, and owls.
But you know that during that time, actually, the time we set out on that trail at the end, I don't remember hearing any wolves or coyotes after that.
Not really.
Our first part of the where we set out.
Yeah, and our friend Melissa, an investigator with the team, she was trying to call in skunks. Yep. she was teasing and playing with skunks. We're trying to keep a serious investigation going.
And she's playing with our forest friends.
Yeah. So, did you guys hear the call? How did it sound? I have to stop hitting the desk too.
She was. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi. Whoopee. I'll never get this. Everything's backwards. So anyway, we had every year we seem to pick up a little bit more evidence of Bigfoot up in northern Minnesota. And like I say, we got wood knocks, we got rock knocks, we got those howls. We've had other whoops in the past.
Yep.
Not as clear. This is probably our clearest one that we had so far.
I think that first time we went out, though, we heard it pretty decently. Remember, where were we? The lakes were hauling, too. Remember the same?
Oh, yeah. That was a cold one that time.
Yeah, it was cold, but we heard some whooping that night, too. Not as good as that. And, Stephanie, I wanted to say that just a little bit. It is. Just a little bit before we played whooping, and if you want to go back and listen to that.
Yeah. The whooping is in there. And the bottom line is that we just continue to get calls. And sometimes it has the evidence around it or the descriptors that make us feel like it is a Bigfoot or cryptid type element to it. And sometimes it's not. Like we had one at the cemetery. We were at a cemetery. And they said something was bothering them, and I don't know. Literally that they did not want to live or rent this house that was by the cemetery.
It was just falling apart anyway.
It was falling apart anyway. But we investigated that one, and we picked up on, obviously because of its proximity to the cemetery, we picked up on a share of paranormal type things. Yeah. But there was a route there that it could have used a heavy, dark swamp that it might have used to travel in and out of that area if there was a Bigfoot type thing there.
And then, yeah, Melissa's right. Yeah, we had rock swimmers there. And
Oh,
quite a bit,
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
You know,
Yeah, that whole investigation was unique. That Melissa, with
you know,
the three of us were out on site, stayed out till probably, I don't know what time in the morning it was. 1 o'clock maybe?
something, yeah.
And we could hear, it sounded like heavy pebbles, not big rocks.
Thankfully.
And they were going through, you could hear them going through the leaves of the trees over the top of us.
Yeah, just throwing all around us.
Yep. And we heard footsteps that time too. Saw nothing, but we definitely heard footsteps.
And Stephanie said she's had that experience as well a few times.
Right.
So
Yeah, that makes a shiver go up your spine when you're just sitting there in the dark, completely quiet, woods atmosphere, and you hear stones going through the trees or footsteps walking up on you and you don't see nothing. That'll send the chills going on you, but we still had a great time.
It was great.
We had a lot of cameras up and whatnot, and we definitely had a great time.
Diana.
Hello! And so, definitely that investigation at that site, and we looked on the maps, and there was a waterway that went for like 15, 20 plus miles.
Big, yeah.
And it is our assumption, and we knew because not only was Sasquatch Bigfoot reported on this property, it was reported on the next property down. They were hearing howls and
Right.
different, and they found a track and whatnot. So we had a feeling that it was following this water corridor, which they generally follow some type of corridor.
Yeah, and it was interesting that night.
Right. And so kind of hard to explain something that you don't see. I haven't seen one yet, but we've had a lot of crazy experiences. Hello, Patty. We've experienced Bigfoot in a variety of ways. We had a guy that was with us once, and he was out sitting by the swamp. I was about 100 yards from him, and he was
Hi, Heather.
hearing the calls, and it ran up from the swamp, again a swamp, and it knocked and called out real loud and shot across. He did not see it around him, and literally we saw some unexplained tracks. They weren't big enough to be a large Bigfoot, but they was tracks we couldn't identify, and went right to the other side of them and knocked and did some howling on that side. Scared the dickens. Again, that was right at dusk.
Yeah, Diana was talking about the wolves that were.
Yes, Diana was with us. And yes, coyotes, wolves. It was an active, very active. That was all in the Chippewa National Forest up in the northeastern part of the state and central and northeast.
Yeah.
We've been a number of areas there where we've been called into, and I would say it's hardly a call that comes where we haven't had an experience there.
Right.
There's no doubt.
And it's so beautiful up there, anyways.
Yeah, we just like being up there anyway.
Yeah, it was really great, Dylan.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the one we did 2 years ago, a couple guys were out fishing, and like 3 Bigfoot came right up to the shoreline, and they're all upset that these fishermen are out at dusk, right in the area where the Bigfoot family grouping was, and they let them know by making a lot of calls and making a ruckus on the shoreline,
Right.
and it scared these guys out of there.
Yeah.
And we investigated that one. That was 2 years ago, and that was a great one too. Yes, we are definitely looking forward to this here, Diana. We actually, Mark and I have already been to this location, and we definitely have a spot that we're kind of excited about for this year.
Absolutely, I think it'll be fun. Plenty of trails and
Yeah, a lot of trails, and that's one key element that Mark and I use. We really like to split the teams. There's times when we'll stay together, but times when we really split things out and try to cover as much area as possible. And if you're in a 2-person team and there ain't nobody for another half a mile from you, that can be kind of crazy. Yeah. When it's late at night, it's 11, 12 o'clock at night into pitch black. But I guess you gotta like that kind of stuff. If that's what you're into, like we are, that sounds like it's fun to us. I guess I don't know other word you describe, but mainly we do it so we can help the people that call us, our clients, and try to give them some type of explanation.
Right.
Long story short.
And I do enjoy the day. We do a day hike ahead of time to kind of recon the area, look for places to set up. That part's is incredible as well.
Set the game cameras up and.
Yep, and to answer Heather's questions, we do. Yep, there's camping and fires and fun.
Yeah, we have some fun.
It's all fun.
Yeah.
Well, I guess can't deny that.
Right. So, well, I absolutely want to thank everybody. Hello, Dylan. Definitely, I want to thank everybody for joining us on this episode of Search for Spirits, Facebook Live, Tuesday night. And we're going to try to continue this every Tuesday night. That's kind of our plan anyway. And continue to bring new topics. We have all kinds of interesting topics coming up. We talked about next Tuesday night perhaps doing a show of different relics that we have picked up at investigations, and just kind of putting the camera on them and letting people see different items, just talking about.
We'll bring down Melissa's favorite guy for that.
Michael.
Oh, Michael.
We might. Michael's been in a box.
Yes, he's probably crabby as hell.
For 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
Has not been out.
Yeah.
So, yes. Who knows what we all have coming forward. And I want to do a night where we just answer questions. We just answer questions the whole time. And anybody that has things that they wonder about, we will do our best. So we got a lot of ideas coming up.
And a lot of fun investigations.
And a lot of fun investigations to talk about.
Like Dylan just said, I just missed it. Oh, great year coming. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then Heather said, could we see how you steal objects removed from locations? Maybe we'll do that next week as well.
Okay. Excellent. All right. Well, I want to say thanks. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. I had a nice crowd again. And for you that are watching this after the fact, hey, I'm glad you came. And keep an eye out. I'm going to try to get more smart with this Facebook stuff. I think we're going to go back to using the phone, though, because it sounds like we had better reception through the phone. So that's for next week. Hey, thanks, everybody.
Bye now. Have a good night.
Bye now.